friend, if you're watching this right now, you're probably exhausted. Maybe your head is pounding, your stomach is upset, and you're just tired of feeling out of control every month. You've had sleepless nights, stressful mornings, maybe even a chaotic start to your day. And your period just makes everything worse. Here's the thing that no one talks about. Stress and your period are deeply connected. And it can make cramps, headaches, and heavy bleeding feel unstoppable. But there's hope. I'm sharing the mindful eating and simple stress-shifting habits that gave me my first pain-free period in 18 days after decades of struggle. Stick with me and I'll show you how to calm the chaos, ease the pain, and finally feel in control of your body again. Now, I know what you're going through because I lived it. I'm Basswood, and I've struggled with painful periods, heavy bleeding, cramps, headaches, and digestive issues since I was 12. Now, for years I believed this was just my normal. But after experimenting with fasting, mindful eating, and stress management, I finally experienced true period pain relief. And today I'm sharing exactly how it happened so you can start to feel better too. Here's what I'll cover in this video. First, I'll share my personal story, decades of painful periods and the surprising moments that brought relief. Next, we'll look at the science behind the stress-period connection and how your eating habits play a huge role. And finally, I'll give you practical, evidence-based tips to reduce cramps naturally, balance hormones, and reclaim a healthier cycle. This isn't medical advice. It's my personal experience supported by research, so always check with your healthcare provider for your unique situation. Alright, let's begin. Let's start with my story, because it might sound a lot like yours. I have always been a heavy bleeder. Since I was 12, every cycle meant cramps, headaches, diarrhea, and stomach aches that left me drained. Every month I would go home from school before my school ended, just because I couldn't stand being in the classroom anymore. Now, my first painless experience came only when I was on birth control. That's proof that hormones matter. Later, I experienced with fasting. I once fasted for 21 days and I started the fast at the beginning of my cycle. And the next period was completely painless. Now, after my first son was born, something shifted. My body seemed to calm down, and I only have light cramps once or twice a year. Now, that lasted for about 10 years. But as I approached my mid-40s, things changed again. Years of IVF treatment and natural aging made my periods irregular. Now, last year, I even skipped a few cycles entirely. And then this year came a wake-up call. During a holiday in Scotland, I was basically immobilized for a day. Dizzy spells, nausea, and pain until the period finally arrived. Then it stopped immediately. Now I was frightened and I was exhausted. Tell me, have you ever had a cycle that completely wiped you out or surprised you like that? Now, share your story in the comments. Your experience can help other women feel less alone. Now, my Scotland experience really got me thinking. I started Project Mindful Eating as soon as I came back from my holiday to improve my relationship with food and to lower stress. And after just 18 days, a little early, but okay, my period arrived without any pain, any headaches, or any cravings. No warning signs, it was the easiest cycle of my life. And that's when I knew. This isn't random. Something about mindful eating and stress management was helping my body to find balance. And here's what research revealed. High psychological stress is strongly linked to increased menstrual pain. Stress raises cortisol, which can disrupt your ovarian axis, leading to irregular cycles. Now, don't take my word for it, do your own research, and especially don't take my pronunciation of the words. I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation, but just to give you an idea. This all boosts prostaglandins, I think it's called. It's a hormone-like chemical that causes stronger uterine contractions, which means cramps. Now, stress doesn't just stop at the uterus. It activates your gut-brain axis as well, which explains the diarrhea, the stomachaches, and even period headaches that so many of us experience. Now, this is important. If you have been battling painful periods and also juggling stressful life, work, family, lack of sleep, your stress might be silently fueling those cramps. Now let's talk about food. Diets high in processed food, sugar, refined carbs, caffeine, alcohol, and trans fats increase inflammation, which means more prostaglandins and stronger cramps. Now, low intake of fruits, vegetables, omega-3s, and magnesium is also linked to heavier bleeding and more pain. And here's the double punch. Stress often leads to emotional eating. Think sugary snacks or salty comfort food. This rises our inflammation even more, and this creates a vicious cycle. Stress, poor diet, inflammation, more pain, more stress. And the cycle repeats itself. Now let's shift from problem to solution. These small changes helped me and may help you find period pain relief too. Now, stress, think about this. You need to manage your stress. You can do this with yoga, meditation, deep breathing, or even a daily walk can lower your cortisol and prostaglandins. And then there's an anti-inflammatory diets, where you should focus on omega-3 rich foods like fish and flax, magnesium-rich foods like greens and nuts, and reduce caffeine and sugar. You should also hydrate. Now, herbal teas like ginger and chamomile help reduce bloating and cramps. And then think about your gut health. Probiotics, fiber, and mindful eating support digestion and lower inflammation. And then there is fasting, which is optional, but it works. Short, supervised fastings early in the cycle has given me dramatic pain reduction. But always check in with your doctor first. And I don't mean short like as in 3 days, but for me short is 3 weeks. Now, these changes aren't about perfection. They are about giving your body what it needs to find hormonal balance naturally. Now tell me, what's one small change you think could help you and your cycle? Less sugar, more movement, or simply taking a few deep breaths each day? Now drop it in the comments so we can support each other. Now, during my first mindful eating week, I still had sugar cravings, and this was when my period was still heavy. Especially on Tuesday, I wanted candy so bad that I didn't know what to do with myself. But incredibly, I could stop myself with only 5 candies. That's incredible. That was, I think, 30 grams of sugar that day. But then another blow came later that week, or this week, and I caught a really bad cold, and the cold was so bad that the cravings went through the roof, and I finished an entire bowl of ice cream. But as I said, this mindful project of mine isn't about restriction, it's about awareness. So even though I did have a couple of indulgences, I really try to stick to my diet. And my plan is to stick to my, not diet, but mindful eating as often as I can. And if there were periods, and if there was a cold, and if there were anything like stressful days, you know, I took that in mind, and I did try to eat as less as I could, but I couldn't avoid sugar completely. Okay, so let's go to my day-to-day video of my mindful eating series. Welcome to my Notion spreadsheet of Project Mindful Eating. We are in week 2 of my Project Mindful Eating journey. And this week was significant because two things happened. On Monday, so the 15th of September, I started my period, and you can see the intake of calories was really, really huge. Now, my calorie intake, if I wanted to lose weight, should be around 1,600, and this was way above that limit. And also, you can see here on Friday, I also crossed my limit of my calories, and this is why, because I was sick, I had a fever, and I had a really bad cold. So all I did was indulge in sweets, and the same happened on Sunday when the fever repeated itself. But what I would like to show you is that I've decided to make an average of all of the calories I eat this week and all of the weeks after, and the average of steps. Now, the average of calories, I said that I needed at least, or no more than 1,660, something like that, calories. Now, my average this week, despite of my heavy eating on Monday and then again on Sunday, it was 1,711, which is pretty good if we look at how bad I have eaten on Monday and on Sunday. And then this is something that I am not very happy about. These are my steps count. Now, I was very good on Monday, and then it just dropped and dropped and dropped. So the average of the steps was 5,092. Now, I just want to tell you that I don't like to wear my wristwatch where I count my steps, so this should vary. But I know that I have not, that it was not very much above this number. So there is something I have to do regarding the steps next week. So I have to start to move more. Now, this week I had cramps. This week I had some not so good health, so I am excused. But next week I hope that I will be dealing with a little less of calories and a little more of the steps in the column of steps. Now, stress-wise, this week was not very stressful. It was 2 and 1 from 1 to 10, so the stress levels were very low, which I am very happy about. And if I go to the weight column, the weight was somewhere around 76.7 to 76.9. So it was not that big of a difference. It went up, it went down. So that's not very, very drastic change. So yeah, this is my project Mindful Eating spreadsheet for this week. And let's hope that next week I will do a little more on my steps and a little less on my calorie intake. Okay, back to the video. So here's the takeaway. Stress and periods are inseparable, but you can break the cycle. Through mindful eating and small intentional habits, I went from decades of painful, heavy periods to calm, almost symptom-free cycle in just 18 days. Now, if I can do it after 34 years of struggle, you can do it too. But be sure it's not going to be an easy ride. And you're going to be tested every day, or even every minute, I should say, when you have cravings. But if you found this helpful, give me a thumbs up and share your own journey in the comments. It helps more women than you know. And if you're ready to see exactly what mindful eating looks like day to day, watch the next video in my Project Mindful Eating series right here. And also, let's keep this conversation and your health going.